All right, GM everybody. I hope you guys are having a great start to your Friday. No matter how amazing or not so amazing the week has been for you, Friday is always an amazing day to kickstart the weekend. And I know this week has been nothing short of an eventful one. And a lot of questions, have sort of came up, and we appreciate all the individuals that have reached out, share, some of the feedback, especially the folks who have engaged, the different executive members, across multiple platforms and whatnot. Thank you for, reaching out and sharing with us, your views on the different topics. And, I would love for us to go through the newsletter today, as we usually would. But of course, I know that, there are obviously, a lot of other sort of topics that we may have all on our head for this week, especially. So probably, it's better if we dive right in. I can assure you, I may sound a little bit serious this week, but I'm still as hyped for Fridays. Monkey Fridays. All right. Yes, let's be happy. All right. It's nothing new. We have definitely had a couple of incidents like that. I just hope our Gen 3 monkeys are not too afraid of it. Welcome to the monkey fam. We are seeing a lot of new monkeys as well. We hope to be able to meet you later on. But just very quickly, going to mention just some of the key highlights that the newsletter team put out for this week, and then we'll move right into the key agenda items that we have prepared for this week. All right. Um, the banana split is actually on its 75th edition for this week. There were obviously a lot of the updates related to the Gen 3 meme, the branding, the MonkeDAO treasury, where you can get a quick overview of the current state of the MonkeDAO treasury all in one page. There's the town hall TLDR, banana stand, which we'll have Zach come up and share with us more information as well. Monkey comms, monkey ads, and the rest community related content. All right. So if you guys are interested, definitely go check out the Banana Speed. It's right at the announcement channel. You will be able to find the latest edition. All right. In any case, I will now pass the time right straight to Norm for him to address us in some, especially in some of the key areas relating to Gen 3 as well as SMB rebranding. GM Norm, hope to pass the time to you. If this is a convenient mode, just let me know. GM.
Jimmy, it's definitely been a interesting week, and first of all, I would just like to say thank you to everybody who has been giving a lot of feedback, a lot of opinions, a lot of constructive and non-constructive criticism about everything that's going on inside of MonkeDAO. There's been a few different ways that we've been collecting feedback, some of which is through the Google form that Jemmy set up directly around questions. I'll be running through a variety of those, and I'll also just be pointing out a few larger ticket items that I think we've been going over and the ways that we want to address a lot of this. I'm starting off with the caveat of when we did the reorganization for MonkeDAO, the goal and what we wanted to do was create small, efficient teams that were able to execute on things quickly without needing to put everything inside of the DAO for a vote. That natural trade-off loses a lot of the transparency and the things that we were doing previously. This isn't an excuse of why aren't we telling you things. This is just why decisions were made. So we put people that the DAO voted for in charge of rolling out the Gen 3 project, and as that had evolved, rolling into updates for not only SMB Gen 2, but also trying to create a cohesive brand identity and a further understanding of the Gen 3 collection as a whole. I think it's pretty obvious to see that there's been a lot of feedback around branding updates and everything that we have going on there. I know that we've put a lot of things out on Twitter. I know that there's been a variety of different proposals that have come up about changes for this. We worked with an external team, which is Pony Studios. They don't have any connections to anybody inside of MonkeDAO. They were found via a variety of vendors through the Gen 3 team's way of bringing external feedback into the DAO. And we went with one that we thought would be doing a good job delivering something that the Gen 3 team was excited about and presenting. There's been a ton of negative feedback and I would say a decent amount of positive feedback for the areas of how we can initiate or what we can do for improving the Gen 3 branding. We're taking all of that. I know there's already the proposals around making it more community oriented and putting it into areas that the community feels like they can have better feedback. The short answer is we'll look at that. We'll look at the votes and we'll see areas of if things need to be changed and that's where the community wants to go, then we will update that going forward. For right now, this is something that we are presenting to you through what we are working on for MonkeDAO and for Gen 2, Gen 3, and everything around in this. I get that there's people who like shitposting and people who like trolling. It's totally fine. You guys have the opportunity to give your feedback and post about whatever you like. Haven't loved a lot of the ways that certain people have been reacting to this. And I think that most people are just interested in taking some time away, reassessing how all of this went out and played out, and giving you guys not only a post-mortem, but also just a general idea of, here's what happened, here's what we're planning to do about it. We have been chasing our tails for the last week, trying to catch up and deal with things through a variety of different setups. And I think what we're looking forward to is resetting, taking all of the community feedback, and having a more comprehensive plan. So that's a lot of things for for how stuff has been going directly with the SMB branding update and everything around there. I can go through a variety of the questions right now. I think the biggest thing and the next steps to acknowledge is we've heard the community feedback and we've obviously seen the market sentiment around the way that Gen 3 and the barrels have been received. For that reason, we've completely put a halt to the auction process. That's not going forward at this time, and it won't be going forward unless there is a DAO vote for it. Those barrels right now are vaulted and they're going to be held inside of a multi-sig. And if people decide to change the vote proposal or the vote via proposals that we've put out, we can make those changes. But for right now, there's no plans to release any further barrels into the supply. It's not going to be we are making a decision, this is what's happening. We've heard the feedback. They're not going anywhere for right now. I know there's a proposal up about burning them. If that's something that achieves everything that we need in order to move it forward through proposals, which is quorum, the way that we have it set up through the bylaws of what goes to a vote, we'll be doing an on-chain vote based around that. And I know there's a couple of other proposals and things that have been going up and going forward. And forgive me for just kind of speaking through all of this. Sorry, I'm just seeing pings in here. Yeah. Jam, there is no release of vaulted barrels unless there is a vote to do so right now. We probably need to do an actual vote to change the strategy for Gen 3 and what we were putting out there, because that was a plan that we were looking to execute on. For right now, we don't need. I think we're just putting a stop to it here in community feedback. That is the way that we're going. Okay. This is probably going to be a lot of me talking, so if there are questions or things that you want, please put them in the town hall text chat. I'm reading all of this right now, and I'll be going through all of our questions in general. So this goes into kind of what are the next steps, what are the next stages and things that are going on. In general, I think the question that a lot of people have had and what's come up in regards to the finances thread that was put out, as well as the other updates, is trying to have more insight into why these small teams are making the decisions that they're doing. Obviously, when you have higher profile things, those attract more attention and have people asking more questions, which is fine. The community should always be asking questions and asking for transparency where they see. I think this is a very good example of why governance inside of the DAO is important. I'm hoping that we bring this into very positive changes. For the DAO structure in general, we have, for anybody who's not aware, we have 4 appointed executives, myself leading as CEO, 4 elected executives. Those 4 elected executives have their term coming to an end at the end of this month, and we are getting ready to put out the next election stages, ideally with on-chain voting via DAO vote. seen a ton of people who've been putting their hand up. We have been distracted dealing with all of the feedback and the updates for Gen 3 and SMB in general. So we're looking forward to pushing out that process. If there are further changes that need to be made to the bylaws, to the DAO code of conduct, or anything around that, we can go through those votes and processes, and we can continue to update things as needed. We have all of that set up. That's inside of our plan. I think there's a variety of different things that people are looking for changes or information or updates around. All right, let me see. Sorry, I'm just answering a question. Glee Cookie. There are more small teams than the Gen 3 team. So for an example, the group that works on the newsletter every single week is a team. The Build with MonkeDAO grants organization is a small team. Same thing with the infrastructure work that's being done around the validator and our staking pool. I would also view like what we've been doing with the banana stand as another example of a small team that's being worked to execute. I think the Gen 3 team is the very large, very public version of what a lot of people are seeing for the teams. But the goal and what the DAO voted on and what we are trying to execute on is making it so that we have a variety of people who can execute very quickly around different goals and different things that we want to push forward. Jamie did a very good job of answering a lot of these different lists. Okay, I don't think there's any other questions from text chat, so I'll continue. These are going into the questions that were put into the Google form that Jamie put out. So the first one is future benefits to Gen 2 and Gen 3 NFTs. Obviously, we have a lot of things around trying to build out these small teams and the offerings that they bring so that those values are directly tied not only in the MonkeDAO, but also going into the NFTs themselves. We're always going to be prioritizing Gen 2 for a governance and for rewarding these, but we do want to do more for Gen 3. A lot of that stuff is still in the works with appointed and elected executives. We haven't put out an official roadmap. It's becoming pretty clear that we do need to highlight everything that's going forward rather than just working in these individual siloed teams. So that goes back to the transparency thing that we reported before. So short answer, yes, we plan to bring future benefits to Gen 2 and Gen 3 NFTs. Did Jimmy fall from the beautiful tree and hit every branch on the way down? That's my favorite question so far. I'm not really sure. There's two basically around the Gen 2 or the Gen 3 barrels. We're looking at holding that off for right now. I think there is a vote around burning it, or a proposal around burning them, which we'll see. But for right now, we don't have any plans to release those. Why was the rebrand expensive, and why was it never brought up to the community? So the goal was we were working on an external rebrand for MonkeDAO, right? That is the exclamation brand command that you can see. We did that with a company called Widget and Stone. While it was contentious at first, it was very well received after that. And once people sort of adopted to it, we went with the same route there. And the Gen 3 team wanted to consolidate everything, which includes SMB Gen 2, Gen 3, and what we're commonly referring to as the SMB collectibles under one branding roof. Like, that's why we did this. Which monkey works at Pony? Regards. I mean, there are no monkeys who work at Ponies unless any of that team has purchased one since we've engaged with them. The Gen 3 team put out a qualification process shortlisting different marketing agencies. They considered the previous work done by the agencies, and they chose Pony. We can go into more transparency and more conversations around it. We empowered a team to make a decision. They did. That's how this went. Next question. What's the long-term plan for Gen 2 and the main differentiation for Gen 3? Obviously, there's things around provenance, the OG status, the governance in question for making all of these decisions and making these things going forward. We're also looking at prioritizing the benefits list so that Gen 2 receives more of something than what Gen 3 would, whether it's on a per NFT basis or in general. That's what we're working through. Jack has a very large question around like rebranding and all the things that we were going through. And the biggest thing is basically, why are we making these decisions when we're doing community surveys and community feedback sessions and making the choices going through there. I think the big thing that's been promoted in here is just the idea that while we can make decisions and as an executive committee, what we should also be doing is directly explaining like why we are doing these decisions, whether that's in blurbs around announcements, which I think we are doing a good job of, but can obviously use a lot more work. So clarity and insight into why the executive team is making these specific decisions. That's basically everything in there. I'm just going to read chat really quick and see if there's anything else in here because I saw a couple of things. Flux, since we paid thousands on the rebranding, we have the funds to buy a hostel for Breakpoint, or are we broke? We plan on spending funds for Breakpoint and organizing hotel rooming blocks around what Solana has put out previously. I don't think we have the plans to buy a hostel specifically. I see the question of how much is paid to Pony. It's less than 50K. I'm leaving it to the Gen 3 team to determine if they want to give every single cost out around what this was. Right now, I'm not disclosing that information, making that choice. Diego's asking for more questions around wasters and bananas, plans to launch a token, updates around like DeFi and the reason why we're doing these things. It's a short list basically of we're looking at expanding everything around Interlace and the ways that we're going to be going forward. Don't have a plan to launch a on-chain token at this time. That may change. Right now we're doing off-chain points and rewards. General coach, why didn't we vote for the new visual identity? The Gen 3 team was working on getting the rebranding out. We needed SMB branding as well on top of that. A lot of the Gen 3 branding was well received, whether it's through the barrels, the Metaplex site, etc. The SMB branding came out later. So speed was a core consideration rather than reaching out to the community. And then Mocha is, why are we paying an executive, which is Maurice, for a campaign around branding and marketing? And, can monkeys do this for free? We've had a variety of different committees where many people have offered to do things for free for the DAO. What we end up seeing happening by and large is that people drop off, get busy, go do other things. Part of the reason why we want to get to the point of paying people to do tasks for MonkeDAO so that it's consistent and organized so that we're pushing things forward as well as we can. And the other situation is basically, we've had a lot of volunteers offer to do things in the past. We just slowly lose people over time. We had somebody with an agency who could do the thing that we needed. We engaged with them to do the thing that we needed. That was right. We made that decision. Those are all of those questions. What Gui Cookie, why wasn't there an RFP then? We've done RFPs previously. We haven't done RFPs for some of these different situations. We just went with specific teams. We can probably do RFPs for more things going forward, especially for bringing in community insight or other things we have going on. But that's where I think the general conversation is that everybody is needing oversight, breakdowns of spending, or a few other things around here. Just reading through chat. Financial status after Gen 3 mint, we have approximately, once the repayments are through, we're going to have about 1.2 million USD worth of equivalents inside of the treasury. I think those are all of the questions that I am seeing inside of chat. Flux, you can put up a vote proposal if you would like to change something specifically. But I think you're just trolling. So go for it. Gui Cookie, I've seen your comment that you don't accept the desire for speed. I've noted that. Okay, that's the questions, everything that we've been putting out, and the ways that we want to go through a lot of these different things. Jimmy, I think we can probably answer more and more questions and going through here in the next little bit. And I'll continue to answer questions either in text or on voice. Let's start.
Okay, sounds good. Yeah, thanks a lot, Norm. I think, a lot of the questions in the tags, some of them may have an overlap around some of the things that was run through earlier as well. I also pinged the MonkeDAO finance sheet around like some of the finances that some of us have been asking around. I think this would probably be something that was already put in the announcement anyway. So, just linking it here so it's going to be easier for everyone to refer to, especially relating to the finances and like how much the mean actually generated for the DAO specifically. All right. In the meantime, we'll continue to monitor town hall chat. Feel free to put them in, and we'll continue to move forward with the rest of the agenda item. There's just a couple of them, and rest assured we can always revisit this. Once the rest of the agenda items have been covered. All right. Definitely, I know that some of it is, a little bit emotional to some, but we would really appreciate if, we can at least be civil in our engagement. That would be super helpful. All right. Sounds good. So let's move on for now. Next up, I think we'll bring up Zach, Florida Man specifically to talk about merch as well as the Samba partnership, just to give us a rehash. I know Florida Man came out and spoke with us a little bit around all these things the last couple of weeks, but I'm sure, some of us may not remember it. So Florida Man, GM, hope you are ready. Definitely an interesting week, but always good to hear about merch and Samba partnership.
GM, thanks, Jemmy. Doxing me once again. Appreciate that. Just kidding. Hey guys, I just wanted to come and give an update about merch because there hasn't been merch in a little while. We haven't really talked about it in a little bit. And so just as a reminder, when I joined the exec team and we started this epoch, we had a ton of merch that we had purchased previously for Solana Spaces, for our web store. And we had, I would say, a less than ideal setup because we had a lot of inventory and we had a fulfiller that was US based. And it really was difficult for us to manage the costs associated with shipping internationally and things like that, right? And we also felt like the quality of merch was okay, but not great. So the focus of merch has shifted. We first of all prioritized clearing out that inventory, which we've done a really good job of. We sold a lot through sales. We took it to the Hacker House. Maurice took it to the Hacker House in New York and has developed a relationship with Hacker Houses so that we can have a merch stand there. And we'll see that in Berlin and more likely than not at Breakpoint. But overall, the focus for merch has shifted to quality and also the opportunity to probably fulfill from more places than just the US to make it more economical for everyone, help us improve margins, etc. So we have some limited drops coming up and they're really exciting. Again, the big focus is quality. So I think everyone's going to be pretty blown away with the next round of merch that gets released. And we're also going to, and I meant to have this for now, but we're going to do a quick survey for anyone who's interested on some of the unique items that we're going to be dropping to see what you guys are most interested in and what people value the most. So look for that. Obviously, want to gather feedback from the community. And then secondly, we have the Sandbar partnership that's active right now. So MonkeDAO benefits directly from you guys going to Sandbar and using our ref link to set up your account. Sandbar is a really cool Web3 platform for builders to connect with people looking for help with their project or just resources in general for all your Web3 needs. So go check out Sandbar. I will post the link in the chat in a minute. And they've been an awesome partner for us, obviously a monkey-led project. So check out Sandbar if you haven't already and set up your account. It directly benefits MonkeDAO. So I think that's pretty much everything. Let me just hit Maurice real quick and see if there's anything I missed or anything you want to add. if you're able to talk.
No, I am. I just always seem to have some kind of difficulty unmuting. But I think Zach hit everything on the head. What I'd like to add there is there will be more opportunity to work with merch through the sub brands. There will be opportunities via the survey that Zach and I will put out to gain a better understanding of what you guys are looking for. Because at the end of the day, we're doing this for you guys.
All right, thanks a lot, Frida, man. I think this is probably a perfect timing. Maurice, is a good time since you managed to unmute yourself. Because the next agenda item is specifically related to Maurice. This is related to the Berlin Hacker House. Obviously, it sounds like a lot of work has been going on around putting the different events together and potentially some of the monkey merch. So, Maurice, since you're here, why don't you share with us a little bit around the Berlin Hacker House, as well as the Solana mobile activation that may be happening after.
Ooh, I guess you just dropped the alpha first for me, Jemmy.
Sorry.
Appreciate that. Spoiler. So I'm gonna hit that first. So Solana Mobile, I've been in chats with them before New York Hacker House. We are working on something behind the scenes. I teased some of the potential opportunity there, but more news coming soon. They have some internal things. And then just segue back to what Zach was mentioning earlier, we are working on merch very intently. Berlin Hacker House will have a exclusive drop per se. You'll be able to purchase merch through the official merch booth at Hacker House Berlin. This is something that we are working to have as a recurring activation. So we did New York Hacker House. We'll be doing Berlin, and we are already in talks for Breakpoint. Very, very excited about that. It should be semi-experiential by the time we get to Breakpoint, and everything I've seen and heard is getting me very, very excited. Back to Berlin, I am working on organizing a dim sum meetup. Y'all know how much I love my dumplings. I want to find a place in Berlin and partake with family. On the other side of Berlin is I'm working on trying to organize an event either on Friday or Saturday evening. If there are any local monkeys on the ground in Berlin that want to help, please feel free to DM me, reach out. I very much want to create an experience for all of the new and OG monkeys alike. On that note, I'm going to throw it back to Jemmy and just send everybody love and positive vibes. Cannot wait to continue growing with all of you.
Sounds good. Yeah, thanks a lot, Maurice. Really appreciate that. We continue to monitor the chat, and obviously we're seeing a lot of comments and questions. Definitely, I don't think it is our goal to, host this town hall this week, especially to just run through any, business as usual item. We have deliberately set it up such that, we can, basically get in all these questions and have ample time to address them. And I think we are probably close to the tail end of the BAU items, and I think we can go back to the Excel sheet. I think there are probably some questions that we can answer, as well as some of the folks that may continue to pin down or add additional questions in the thread. We can answer them to the best of our ability. I just want to quickly mention that it is not by choice that the Gentry team is not here. Deliberately, they are, Simon, for example, is away for personal reasons. His own, brother has a wedding, and that is the reason why he's not here. Some of the other team members are traveling, and it's not a deliberate decision, by choice that they are not around today. Okay. So yeah, I think we can go back straight to the Excel. Norm, let me know if you want to sort of run through some of them. Otherwise, you can, run through specifically the longer list of items that we are seeing. Approximately around the GUI cookies question specifically. GUI cookie, we are going to look through the question. If let's say this is something that has been covered, or something that is not included, just let us know. How much did MonkeDAO make from the mint so far? I think we shared the Excel sheet previously. There's approximately 3 million across different phases. This is inclusive of, over 400,000 in terms of USD value from a royalties perspective. And this specifically related to the Gen 3 team spend on the bigger ticket items. I think as Norm sort of highlighted earlier, in accordance to the way the vote proposal has been structured, we did commission a team collectively through the DAO, and we basically assigned a budget for them to operate within. And with that itself, there were very minimal requirement for direct reporting from the Gen 3 team in order to sort of provide them also with ample autonomy to move swiftly. But at the same time, we see the call for more transparency, and then of course as we continue to commission more team members or more such team structures, we'll find a way where we can achieve a balance between the transparency as well as the ability for these teams to move fast. I think the specifically related to the Metaplex fees, there are some contractual obligations in place which does not allow the team to mention about the fee structure. So that is not something we can comment. All right. Cookie, I would definitely appreciate if you can let us try to answer some of them and then get to them as much as possible. As far as the pony related questions included, I believe Norm has already answered this earlier alongside some of the comment made by other individuals. What services were received for the marketing 7.5K? This is again, sort of similar to the question that was brought up earlier. The marketing support was extended not just within MonkeDAO itself. I think the 7.5K across 3 different months individually was actually inclusive of all the support of other MonkeDAO ecosystem, including like ventures or other sub communities and whatnot, and also at the same time supporting the SMB launch. So that is the services that were received for the marketing of 7.5K across 3 different months, which involve, I believe, a team of at least 3 to 4 different individuals. As for the website of like the 5K, that is not related, and I think the J5 individually has also came out in the thread to mention that that is not accurate. He has been the main individual working on the website, and he did not receive any payment for that, aside from sort of paying for any infrastructure subscription fee and whatnot, which is eventually going to be reimbursed by the DAO if not already yet. All right. So yeah, I believe this probably brings us to the tail end of the question. I'm not sure if we do have any more question specifically. I think there is one comment related to please do not burn barrels. Can we find more ways to earn bananas? I think this question would probably be best to defer to Florida Man. But as we mentioned earlier, I think the barrels will be voted, and we will the barrels will be voted, and whatever decision that will be made regarding the barrels themselves will be done through a collective vote via the DAO, right? So when and how will we process the proposals that are being voted on? I believe the different proposals that belong to the different category all have different quorums or requirements. Okay, Norm, I see your comment. Why don't you feel free to unmute yourself and then you can take this.
Yep. So the proposals, for anybody who isn't familiar with the current process, the way that it's working is they go through a period of 5 days for vote proposals as comments. Once they've achieved the requisite amount of quorum, which is dependent based around whether or not there's certain spending or other requirements inside of there, we review it for a day, basically. We see if we need to make any changes to go from the text that has been written inside of Discord into what we will actually be actioning on. So we'll be talking directly with those people who are proposing these vote proposals. We'll push them into the on-chain voting and organizing it that way. And you'll be able to see if there are any changes or differences between the proposals themselves and the votes that are going forward. I think that's the way to answer the authenticity of original authorship. We work directly with the people who are proposing these things. Greed Cookie, what's the quorum for a proposal that requires no spend? It's 3%, which I believe 2 have already reached in the last couple of days.
Yeah, no, I think the English probably has a question around when will the next vote open. I believe this is related to one of the agenda items that we wanted to fill up regarding the election. Maybe it's a good time we can just briefly mention about this and some of the key timelines that we are expecting as well.
Yeah, so there's going to be a variety of different. Sorry, just reading, getting caught off guard. There's going to be a variety of different vote proposals that you'll likely see going towards votes fully in the next week. Some of those are going to be things like the updates to the code of conduct and bylaws, which are coming from myself or other executives. Some of those things are going to be looking like from the community themselves based around our current processes. Those will all be getting put onto the DAO Vote platform, which I believe everybody in here has the opportunity to test and go through. So short answer, you're going to see proposals turning into votes in the next week. Also probably coincide with the direct moves into the election process, which will be the nomination and voting area that we've done previously. We can link everything to the rest of this if needed.
Yep, I think there seems to be also, probably one last question we're seeing related to the, branding. All in all, I think this has been, I think that the Gentry team has shared with us that this is so far the delivery of the work, that they have engaged Pony Studio to work on. And we hear the call for more, participatory processes that can involve the community. And moving forward, I think this is definitely something that we will, be actively working on as well. Engaging the Gentry team specifically, to find ways where we will allow the community to, participate in the improvement process for the work that has already been done. And I think eventually, the options and the options for the DAO, can all be collectively sort of put through a vote, and individuals can all vote on what they think would best represent them, under the SMB umbrella. You should know this about who is Gentry team and who they report to. Okay, I think the Gentry team, consists of Nano, Andy, Super Simon, Ricky, as well as Benny. They've all, been involved with the DAO, for a fair bit of period. And this, this is a separate group that is commissioned from the DAO itself, and they are not exactly like a different company or management structure per se. Right. I think this should be towards the tail end of the questions that we have received. We recognize that there are obviously some questions, that have been put out, which, may, I think like Norm said, may not be able to be addressed in full today. But we continue to keep the Excel sheet open. The Google link will continue to be open across the weekend. We continue to aggregate all your questions, comments, etc. through it. And through the sheet itself, or regardless if it's a question, if it's a suggestion, or if it's a feedback in nature, we'll use it and engage the team as a whole, the entire exec team, collectively alongside the Gentry team, to work through some of them in areas where we can supplement and provide more information. We definitely do that across the different platforms, or also the following town hall, for example. All right. And also just want to do a quick shout out for Stroll for having been super helpful throughout the process, especially over the last couple of days, providing us with some ideas. Some individual monkeys also has individually reached out, like Xenom and other individuals. Thanks for coming out. I just want to quickly also mention to this comment. This is definitely a bad timing situation. It's not a case whereby the team has deliberately chosen to not be around. But they will be engaging us across the different channels or platforms. And I think, as we mentioned, it is definitely our goal and our duty to use this entire sheet of comments that has been provided to us to engage the team as a whole. And then we'll get back to of course the community through the different platforms. As we continue to get more information that can help to provide more clarity for the DAO. All right, I think this probably brings us towards the tail end of the town hall agenda items that we have. We understand that there are indeed a lot of frustrations over the last couple of days. There were definitely areas, which I think community members have voiced out, that we can definitely do better and tighten up the process further. We acknowledge all the shortcomings, and we just apologize if, let's say, some of the expectations, were not met. This is definitely not our intention. Our goal has always been to make sure that we, execute decisions that best represent the DAO, right? And, no one benefits from the DAO, doing or being in a bad position. We will definitely, take this forward. This is definitely a learning lesson for us. So we just ask for your kind patience and understanding to journey with us. Give us the time to be able to address this and do a deep dive here. And basically come back with a satisfactory answer for you and for us. I don't think we are able to address anything more other than what we have covered today. And we will look to come back and revisit some of the questions or topics that you guys have brought up, as well as your concerns. I think that probably is all. Apologies, this is not the regular town hall vibes. Gen 3 monkeys, we look forward to welcoming you in a more official setting in the subsequent town hall. But this is definitely a slightly different and slightly more unique experience to get to interact with the MonkeDAO. All right. So if there are no additional comments, I just want to say I hope everyone will still be able to enjoy your weekend. Take some time off the Discord, close your computer, go out and touch grass. While we continue to try to work through all the comments and engage the different individuals over the weekends and the next week especially. Thanks a lot for taking time to join us today. We appreciate your patience. And we can send the Pump It Up vibes. Okay, maybe something that is more appropriate. So TD77, up to you. Thanks a lot for taking time to join us again. We appreciate you coming over. Let me see if the music board is rugging us. But it should be working. It should be working in no time. No, thank you guys for coming here. We know it's been frustrating, but the fact that you guys are still here, providing us with feedback is what makes this space different and special. Thank you. Okay, this is a very good choice of music, but yes, let's pump it up and enjoy the weekend. You got to pump it up, don't you know? Pump it up. You got to pump it up, don't you know? Pump it up. You got to pump it up, don't you know? Pump it up. You got to pump it up, don't you know? Pump it up. You got to pump it up, don't you know? Pump it up. You got to pump it up, don't you know? Pump it up. You got to pump it up, don't you know? Pump it up. You got to pump it up, don't you know? Pump it up. You got to pump it up, don't you know? Pump it up. You got to pump it up, don't you know? Pump it up. You got to pump it up, don't you know? Pump it up. You got to pump it up, don't you know? Pump it up. You got to pump it
pump it up, don't you know? Pump it up. You got to pump it up, don't you know? Pump it up. You got to pump it up, don't you know? Pump it up. You got to pump it up, 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 don't you know? Pump it up. You got to pump it up, don't you know? Pump it up. You got to pump it up, don't you know? Pump it up. You got to pump it up, don't you know? Pump it up. You got to pump it up.